This is the I Read Comic Books podcast. I'm Tia, your host for this special edition minisode. We asked our amazing listeners to make donations in support of the protests calling for racial justice, and a huge thanks to our favorite person on the show, Danny Martinez, for commissioning this minisode on Batmansplaining. And I am joined by the lovely Kara. Hello, Kara. How are you?
Hello, Tia. I am so excited for some Batmansplaining.
Well, I'll let you get right into it.
All right, so let's orient our listeners, Tia. What's like your range of Bat knowledge? Are you a Bat fan?
I am not. I do not read. I have read Batman comics here and there, but I am by and large not a Batman reader. I have seen and loved, I mean, let's be honest, the Batman movies from like the late 80s, early 90s. So the like Burton one is my favorite, obviously, with Catwoman, you know. But like, and even the like, you know, neon raver 1990s nightmare with Jim Carrey as Riddler, like even that one I have a certain fondness for. But that is, I don't even know if I've seen like the more recent Batman movies. Like I know about them because they're around. Christian Bale voice, yeah, so I don't know.
Okay, so while you were watching these like pop culture things, whatever, I was watching Batman the Animated Series, which had like real comic adjacent storylines, Tia. Now, I mean, do you even have a favorite Robin, Tia? Which Robin is your favorite Robin?
What's the little kid who gets stabbed?
What?
I don't know. It's the one like a little dies? Kid Robin who gets stabbed.
The little okay, person who knows nothing about Batman. Let's rewind. So, Batman, for the 5 of you who listen to this who don't have knowledge of the Batverse yet, wow. Bruce Wayne is a rich billionaire playboy philanthropist who decides to dress up as a bat and spend his nights fighting crime.
He sounds so well adjusted.
So well adjusted. His parents were murdered before his eyes as a child, and they remind you of this almost constantly in the comic books.
I know about that from the movies.
They return to that one a lot. The psychologists, I'm sure, have speculated about why a grown man would dress as a bat and fight crime, and also continuously adopt children and put them in danger as his sidekick, which are the Robins. The first one was Dick Grayson, who was a circus performer who also saw his parents die in front of him at a young age, and Bruce...
Did they meet at a support group?
Bruce saw the death and said, "That child is me. I will fix him in my image."
Wow.
And like, how do you not know this, Tia? This is common knowledge.
I am a fake geek girl, obviously.
So Dick Grayson actually had a character arc, grew up to be a character called Nightwing, who still like kowtows
the butt guy.
The butt guy, and he kowtows to Batman in all things except for the part where Batman like died / time traveled, and then Dick Grayson became Batman, and everyone was like, oh, it's a big deal that Dick Grayson is finally Batman. But the second Bruce Wayne showed back up, he wasn't Batman anymore. The second Robin was Jason Todd, who is the angry one with issues, and he's the one that died at the hands of the Joker because DC had a phone hotline promo that said, "Call this number if you want Jason to live. Call this number if you want Jason." How do you know this? And one dude hated Jason Todd so much as a Robin that he had like an auto dial on his rotor phone that dialed the kill him number like literally thousands of times.
Comic book nerds, what is wrong with you?
So Jason died, and it scarred Batman for life.
Oh my God.
He
How
met
he's like
he met
he's made of
Jason.
scars.
He met Jason because Jason was trying to steal the wheels off the Batmobile.
Fuck yes.
Then Batman got grumpy and sad for a while because he didn't have a child to run around after him, being the light to the darkness or whatever, until Tim Drake, my favorite Robin, because I have this opinion. Tim Drake is a little nerd who decides to out-detect Batman and figure out who Batman is, where I'm sure hundreds of professional grown-ups have failed. The teenage Tim Drake figures out that Bruce Wayne is Batman and convinces him that he needs a Robin. He needs a Robin. Around this time, so Tim became Robin, and then Tim was sort of dating this girl whose dad was a mob boss. And so the girl named herself Spoiler because she was trying to like mess with her dad's empire.
Oh
and
my God.
Something happened to Tim. And then so Stephanie, the girlfriend, took over Robin for a while. So if you ever see like the blonde girl Robin, that's Stephanie. And then the most recent Robin, it is Damian Wayne because Batman got an enemy lady pregnant. And then Damian
Batman, come on.
And so Damian, his son, was secretly raised by a cult of assassin ninjas for the first like 10 years of his life. And then his mom was like, maybe I don't want my kid to be a murderer. Let me send him to live with dad.
Who wrote that? Who is responsible for this?
There are now like I haven't read DC Comics in a while, so I'm aware that there's a We Are Robin concept where they finally like let a black kid be Robin instead of yet another white kid with blue eyes and black hair, because apparently there's a Robin aesthetic that you must achieve at all times.
Oh boy.
I don't know anything about that because I think you will agree that the rest of it is quite enough to keep up with to begin with. This is not including all of the girls who have been Batgirl or all the other Bat-adjacent characters. Anyways, so the thing is that this is the kind of my which Robin is your favorite question is the kind of gross gatekeepy question that can be used for good or evil, but people tend to use it for evil. So, for example, if like we started this conversation by me saying, Tia, what do you know about Batman? And that would give me like a baseline for your knowledge so that I could choose to have a conversation with you about it or not based on what I knew you already know. But by me introducing the question of who's your favorite Robin, knowing that there's no possible way you could know that information since you told me you don't read the comics, that makes me the dick in this conversation. Not the Dick Grayson Robin. Like you're being a jerk. Because I chose to lord my knowledge over you instead of including you in the conversation. So,
I think it's like, yeah, like, if someone says, I don't know who my favorite Robin is, tell me about the Robins, that is a different scenario. You can lord your knowledge over someone who asks for it. Like, and it's funny because, there is a fine line between the Batmansplaining and the, I don't know, Batman being a delightful font of bat knowledge. And I have many times in my life sat down with my super hardcore comic nerd man friends and said, tell me about Wolverine or the X-Men or because I honestly don't have the time. Like, I don't have the time. I'm not going to read it. And I love spoilers. So like, have at it. But you have to wait to be asked, my dudes. It's like dick pics, Dick Grayson pics. Do not send someone a Dick Grayson pic without being asked.
I mean, but like, what if it's his butt though? Like, he's got a nice butt, Tia.
Okay, tell me how the butt thing happened. Is it a Gail Simone thing? Because I feel like this has Gail Simone's hands all over it. Gail, take your hands off of his butt.
No. Okay, so basically in like I think late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s, people started noticing that Dick Grayson had a great butt, because like his whole costume is spandex in a way that usually is like relegated to the female costumes. Like I feel like male costumes are not always just like, here's your spandex and that's it. But Dick Grayson, it's like, here's your spandex. Also, you're a circus acrobat, so you've got a lot of muscles. And people, and I forget which artist started this, but like, you know, some of the artists would start drawing him with like the pose that you normally see the girls have on the posters for the superhero movies, where it's like, we're looking at your butt, but you're looking over your shoulder. So we see like your face in profile, but we're really just looking at your butt. And so Nightwing / Dick Grayson became like the one example of a male superhero character that was like sexualized. Like so many, like it feels like so many of the female characters in superhero comics, like in general, exist to be sexualized and to be drawn into poses where you are looking at their butt or their boobs. And the male characters, they don't really have that equivalent except for Dick Grayson. So that's kind of why people tend to latch onto Nightwing as like the hot one, because he's the only one who's really portrayed as being hot, if that makes sense.
So when he's around, who are the woman characters? Does he like deflect some of that off of them?
Well, I'm trying to think of a female character in the Bat universe that is not like sexualized at some point or another, and the only response I have for you of a non-sexualized female character is Dr. Leslie Tompkins, who's like a mother figure / doctor.
Which is also kind of problematic, because that's the other trope that women get to play in these things. You know, I will say, so the one Batman situation that I read eagerly and excitedly and to completion, this is starting to sound like a totally different conversation, is when the recent one with Joel Jones, where he was going to marry Catwoman, and I was just like, oh my god, I love the drama. I love it. Like, give me Batman rom-com. Like, that is what I'm here for.
Catwoman
also, Joelle Jones is amazing.
Oh yeah. Catwoman is far and away my favorite part of the entire Bat universe. She, like the number of times there has been like a will they, won't they with Batman and Catwoman.
Yeah.
But she's, I have read so many Catwoman comics. She's gone through so many costume changes, and like iterations of who she is. But I mean, you do continuously with her come back to the whole like she is wearing skin tight leather, and I just keep flashing back to that one gross comic from when DC like rebooted their entire universe and were reintroducing Batman and Catwoman, and like the end of the first issue of the Catwoman book was her like boning Batman on a rooftop, and I was like, okay, I get it, but also are you really reintroducing this female character in the context of being sexually available to a man? Like, really?
Could you imagine how gross someone would be after like doing all their like flippy crime that Catwoman was probably up to in like a leather suit, how like gross and sweaty she would be peeling that shit off on a rooftop.
Oh no, they were fully clothed. So then you have the question of
how do you get into it? I mean, frankly, Batman's outfit too, like, oh, you're like full on rubber body gear. I'm sure you're like very, I don't know, maybe because he's so rich he has some kind of system, like in the Spider-Man suit where Tom Holland like had the cooling. Was that Tom Holland? Oh, I remember there was like in one of the Marvel movies, maybe it was The Winter Soldier, I don't know, someone had like a cooling system inside of the suit. Maybe it was so Deadpool. Hot. Yeah. I don't remember now. But anyway, maybe Batman has like a cooling system in his suit. Batmansplain that, nerds.
I'm just now picturing like he's got like because his little like tighty whitey panty section is like, it has to be some kind of Kevlar, or else that's an easy target. Like, he makes it a target by distinguishing it from the rest of the suit. Also, maybe there's like
that is an interesting whole other topic we could talk about.
Like, is there a bat flap where he like presses a code and like then he can pee or have sex with Catwoman on a rooftop? Like,
I mean, I have a lot of questions.
So many questions.
Listen, Batmansplainers, these are the real questions we need to get to the bottom of. Okay, no one cares about who your favorite Robin is.
Just tell me how Batman has sex fully clothed on a rooftop. Oh, but I never. You know what? There's got
No, but actually, like, here's the thing, because there is a fan fiction about this that explains it in detail, I guarantee you, and that really gets to the heart of the difference between what I'm going to say masculine coded and feminine coded methods of engaging with fandom tend to be. And I'm saying that because obviously something that is coded masculine or feminine doesn't mean that everyone who identifies that way does that. It's just like the way the thing is perceived and situated within the larger culture. So with that caveat, masculine coded engagement with fandom tends to be very connoisseurial, like what Kara was doing with all of her like knowledge about the canon.
Yeah.
Yes. Whereas feminine coded engagement with fandom tends to be more transformative. Things like fan fiction and cosplay, where they're sort of making it their own. And academics who study this say that part of the reason for that is because feminine or queer identified people don't see themselves represented as much. So they are sort of like making it their own with these transformative ways of engagement. And I could tell you, I have read a lot of fanfic. Hell, I've even wrote fan fiction where I'm like, how does that costume get put together? Like, how does it function? Or when I was trying to build my Angela cosplay, in the other minisode that was commissioned from the fundraiser that we did, where I talk with Stephanie Hans, we actually talk about this a little bit. Like, how does Angela's boots even work? How do you have metal over the knee boots? That's not even a thing. I had to freaking figure out how to build those. It was not easy. So yes. How does Batman pee in his bat suit?
I'm so glad you brought up fan fiction, because I was thinking about this before we started recording this episode. One of the fan fictions that I read that like sticks in my brain, even though I haven't read it in like years, is a fan fiction that does like a what if Batman and the Joker started getting romantically and sexually involved.
Sure.
Because they have this whole like, okay, so the Joker was not like Batman's arch nemesis until actually around the time of those movies that you said that you saw, because Alan Moore did The Killing Joke. Grant Morrison did Arkham Asylum, Serious House on Serious Earth. And books like that really kind of solidified this idea of the Joker being like a warped parallel to Batman, or like where Batman could go if he was like, if he just went off the deep end and started killing people instead of trying to help them. And the Joker really just like kept in these works, and then all subsequent works kept prodding at Batman as like, you're so like me, you're so like me. And I remember thinking, when do they fuck?
Wow, Kara.
But I'm not the only one who thought that, because there's so much fan fiction. And one of the fanfics that I found was like kind of taking a lot of the mood of the Arkham Asylum book, where like the whole, like the book itself is kind of written in this sort of like trippy, disjointed way that's trying to disorient you the way Batman's getting disoriented. And this fan fiction kind of started out like that, because like Batman was having a really bad day, and like the Joker found him, and then like and it was interesting because they also went into the fallout of like, okay, let's say for a hot second that they did like succumb to their desires and like let this happen, what would everyone else say? And the answer is judgment. Judgment from the Robins and from Alfred, the faithful butler. But so that's the kind of thing that would never get written as an actual comic, but is an interesting concept to explore because it's only a few steps further from a concept that is already being explored over and over again in the canon.
Just for funsies, I really quickly searched Batman/Joker on Archive of Our Own. I have 6,653 hits.
Yep.
And these tags, I'm dying. For example, there is one Batman/Joker week ! By Timmy J. Bird, where included in the tags are, is this cannibalism? ? And it might be cannibalism. So that one sounds fun.
I didn't say they were all great, Tia. I said they were worth thinking about.
Here's one with Batgirl in the middle. She has to do both of them, so they both do her too.
Oh my god.
Here, hand jobs and unwanted arousal are involved, are part of the tags here.
You know if this fic takes place before or after Joker shoots her in the spine? Because that there's additional problems.
I hate it. Yeah. I hate all of this. What else do we have? Here's one that is set in World War II. Okay. So that is exciting. But yeah, like, you know, here's one that just is straight up tagged boys kissing and gay sex and you know, like, yeah, get transformative with your fandom, guys. First time blowjobs, good. Here, yes, okay. Well, so people are really reading between the lines here.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it has to happen with. It's the same thing with any of these bigger properties. Like one of my many problems. I don't actually read Batman comics like I did when I was a kid, and I was reading stuff from like the 60s and 70s where comics just were more standalone to begin with before everything became like the continuity. And the thing is, I've never really found the main Bat title interesting, and I know a lot of people do, and I know a lot of people are like devoted to like certain of the storylines that I mentioned earlier while running my mouth about the Robins. But the thing is, because Batman is such an expensive IP, you can never actually do anything new with him because he still needs to be Batman. So he can never actually grow and change as a character. You always have to bring him back to my parents are dead and I am angsty, which is why Robert Pattinson is such good casting.
Oh my god, I so just love it. I really wish that they would like just lean into it and get K-Stu in there as like Catwoman or something.
Batwoman, because then she can be gay and just spend the whole time hitting on all the ladies of Gotham.
That's better. Yeah,
better. And Robert can just spend the whole movie chasing after her, like, we have a mission. And she's like, but she's so cute. Look at her cat ears.
Okay, so who? Yeah, like
I would love watch.
K-Stu hitting on Catwoman. That's better.
Right. So the thing with Batman is that I've never actually really been interested in the core book. I've always been interested in the side books about these characters that don't have as strong a reason for DC and Warner Brothers to keep them the same. So the characters I like tend to be like, you know, the little side Batman characters like the Huntress, or like the one time for about 2 seconds that Tim Drake got his own book and his own like sort of identity that was Bat adjacent as opposed to like main Bat family. Or the whole like Birds of Prey book where, you know, Batgirl had this like post Barbara Gordon Batgirl getting shot, and then she was in a wheelchair and she became Oracle and was like super techie, and she was basically like all of the information for the superheroes all of the time. And that was interesting because they were able to do something new with her. I think she shouldn't have been shot and sexually exploited in the first place, but it's nice that they, instead of letting her just not be in the books anymore, to give her like a totally different, separate from Batman identity.
Yeah.
But like,
you know,
like that.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, things like that, where it's just the side characters in the Batverse have always been way more interesting to me because they actually have character growth and development and can actually do things. Whereas Batman is just going to be static forever. So exploring Batman through the lens of like fan works or fan fiction or fan art is way more interesting to me because there are no rules, because you are not beholden to a corporation.
And I think this is why Batman as a character and as an IP is so susceptible to Batmansplaining, because of how entrenched in the continuity and canon and all of that the character is. So people who are new to comics or new to the character or whatever, it's just like very off-putting. Like you have to really want to read Batman to read Batman.
Yeah. When I started reading DC Comics, my mom like bought me the DC Comics encyclopedia, and I read that thing daily just to get up to speed. Yeah. So I guess the moral of this story is pay attention to how people are reacting to you talking about the thing that you like, because if they're into it also, that's cool, keep talking. But if they're like very clearly trying to like change the subject or not really engaging, maybe you're batsplaining.